Orenthal James Simpson, who is named after a French actor, was born July 9, 1947 in San Francisco, California. Born with rickets, he was pigeon-toed and bow-legged and had to wear corrective shoes until he was 5 because his family could not afford surgery at the time. His bowed legs earned him the harsh nickname of pencil pins on the playground. Growing up in the projects of San Francisco's Potrero Hill, O.J. came from a poor family of 4 children and a single mom who worked at a psychiatric ward to support them after their father walked out. Although he did not have many opportunities in the projects, he was able to find solace at their community recreation center, where his passion for sports began. He looked up to and learned from great athletes such as baseball star Willie Mays. Although he spent a lot of time playing sports, this did not keep him from experimenting with poor choices. At age 13, he joined the San Francisco Persian Warriors gang, where he had his first run-in with the law after getting into a gang-related fight, which sent him to the San Francisco Youth Guidance Center for 1 week. It was here that his guidance counselor provided the opportunity for O.J. to meet with Willie Mays, who sat and had a talk with him. O.J. looks back on this time, saying that it was the first time he realized that all it took to achieve his dreams was determination. In his teenage years, O.J. attended Galileo High School, where he discovered he had a real talent for football while playing for the Galileo Lions. After graduating from Galileo, he attended the City College of San Francisco for 1 year, where he played football as a running back and a defensive back, even being named to the Junior College All-American team. With an athletic scholarship, he began attending the University of Southern California, where he continued to play football for the Trojans, setting many NCAA records and winning the Heisman Trophy in 1968. After graduating college, he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills, where he set many records for his rushing yards, winning himself the NFL rushing title 4 times. He also became nicknamed the Juice because of how fast he could run. He later played 2 seasons for the San Francisco 49ers and was later inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1985. O.J. transitioned out of his football career by starting a career in the film industry. He took part in films such as the TV miniseries called Roots, and even had his own production company called Orenthal Productions. Aside from film, he worked as a commentator for Monday Night Football and the NFL on NBC. Regarding O.J.'s family life, he was first married in 1967 to his high school sweetheart, Margaret Whitley, with whom he had 3 children. In 1979, his youngest daughter drowned in a swimming accident just a month before her 2nd birthday. Simpson and Whitley divorced the same year. Although still married to his first wife, O.J. met Nicole Brown at a nightclub in 1977, and the two began dating. They were married 6 years after his divorce with Whitley. O.J. had 2 children with Brown, and the couple was married for 7 years, in which he had pleaded no contest to spousal abuse. Brown filed for divorce in 1992. Now that you've got a little background information on O.J., let's take a look at what he was accused of doing. On June 12, 1944, the slaughtered bodies of Simpson's ex-wife Nicole Brown and of Ron Goldman, a friend of Nicole, were discovered. They were found in the front courtyard of Nicole's Brentwood estate. Simpson was immediately a suspect in the double murders and was put on trial in 1995. Pictures are graphic. Both victims endured a horrible slashing and blows to the body. Nicole had a total of 7 stab wounds, had several lacerations on her hands, incisions to her jugular veins, and also a gaping wound exposing her cervical spine. Like Nicole, Ron also had multiple stab wounds of the neck, chest, abdomen, left thigh, face, scalp, and left hand.
At the scene of the crime, and also on O.J.'s personal items, were incriminating evidence, from bloody footprints to a pair of gloves. Let's take a look. 1. A right-handed dark brown cashmere-lined glove size extra large was found on Simpson's property. The left-handed matching glove was found at the crime scene. The gloves had a mixture of blood from Nicole, Goldman, and Simpson. 2. Coincidentally, Brown had purchased the same gloves that were manufactured by Aris Gloves as a gift to Simpson, and only 300 pairs had been sold between 1989 and 1992. Photographs and videotapes captured Simpson wearing the gloves during game telecasts prior to the murders. 3. During the trial, Simpson tried on the pair of gloves while also wearing latex gloves underneath. He struggled to put them on and then said, "They're too tight." The prosecution did have a trial run of the gloves using Detective Phil Venator, whose hands and fingers were as long and thick as Simpson's. He had no problems putting them on. 4. Bloody footprints that led away from the crime scene were found. The prints matched Bruno Magli's Lorenzo-style shoes. This brand of shoes are high-end and retail for $160. This is also the brand that Simpson denied owning, calling them ugly shoes. Photographs surfaced claiming O.J. was wearing the brand, but it is too hard to tell if the shoes he is wearing were in fact Bruno Magli shoes. Only 299 pairs in size 12 were sold in the U.S., the same size Simpson wore. Unfortunately, the jury was not able to consider this evidence in the criminal trial, and the shoes that were used in the crime were never recovered. 5. Blood was found in Simpson's vehicle that matched Brownman's, Goldman's, and his own. Both victims' blood was found on the center console, and a partial bloody footprint staining the carpet was found on the driver's side that also matched size 12 Bruno Magli shoes. 6. The day after the murders, Simpson had lacerations on his left hand. They were identified by forensic pathologist Dr. Warner Spitz to be fingernail gouges. Hair evidence was also found that was consistent with O.J.'s, on Goldman's shirt and on the cap that was found on Nicole's residence. 7. Rumors also circulated when Simpson supposedly confessed to Rosie Greer, a former NFL tackle, during a jailhouse conversation. Simpson, of course, denied all the allegations. This was not allowed to be heard by the jury.
The criminal trial was held at the Superior Court in Los Angeles County, California, that spanned from the jury being sworn in on November 2, 1994, to opening statements on January 24, 1995, as well as the verdict on October 3, 1995. The former professional football star and actor O.J. Simpson was tried on 2 counts of murder after the deaths of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Lyle Goldman in June of 1994. The case has been described as one of the most publicized criminal trials in American history. The trial had lasted more than 8 months. The jury in the federal trial had consisted of 8 black, 1 Hispanic, 1 white, and 2 mixed races. There were 58 witnesses put on stand to testify in the O.J. Simpson case, all of which consisted of neighbors, friends, families, and detectives. On May 4th of 1995, the Goldmans had filed a wrongful death suit against O.J. Mr. Simpson had pled 100% not guilty for the murders of Nicole Brown, who was 35, and her friend Ronald Goldman, who was 25. On June 5th of 1995, O.J. had tried on the leather gloves that were the same size as the bloody gloves found at the crime scene. If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit, Orenthal's lawyer, Johnny Cochran, had reminded the jury. Throughout the trial, O.J. had not been called to testify, and even though there was much evidence upon him, such as the bloody-soled shoe prints, the incidents of the wife beatings, bloody gloves, and the report of a sweat-suited figure in the dark, the jury had to have proof beyond a reasonable doubt in order to prosecute him, or all 12 jurors had to agree. On October 3, 1995, the jury had reached a not guilty verdict, and Simpson was acquitted of the 2 counts of murder. The jury was not fully convinced Mr. Simpson was guilty for the murders. Most people say that this was the trial of the century. The State of California versus Orenthal James Simpson trial had begun on October 23, 1996, in the wrongful death suit of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman. The jury had consisted of 9 whites, 1 Hispanic, 1 African American, and 1 mixed race. In this case, the verdict had only required 9 out of 12 votes, or to be 50.1% positive that he had committed the crime. The jury, the judge, and the lawyers had all been replaced. The new judge was also known as the no-nonsense judge. O.J. Simpson was also called to take the stand or to forfeit the case. O.J. had given what was called a mixed performance, such as a change in the alibi, and he also had a firm motive out of jealousy. The jury had also seen the previous evidence used in the criminal trial and some new evidence, such as a picture of Mr. Simpson wearing shoes like the ones that left the bloody prints at the scene outside of the condo. Mr. Simpson was known to have a temper, and there were some reports of Nicole being abused as well as a lie detector test that O.J. had failed regarding the case. Hair follicles and a glove were also found near Simpson's home containing blood that tested positive to be the blood of Goldman. Blood was also found in Simpson's Ford Bronco near the driver's outside door handle. Other blood samples were smeared inside on the console, the door, the steering wheel, and the carpeting. DNA tests show some of the blood consisted of a mixture of O.J.'s genetic markers and the victim's. There were about 53 witnesses that testified for the defense in order to undermine charges that he had killed the victims. There were also more than 50 witnesses that testified for the plaintiff. On February 4th of 1997, O.J. was found guilty in the civil wrongful death suit and awards the plaintiffs, Fred Goldman and Sharon Rufo, who were the divorced parents of Ron Goldman, $8.5 million in damages. On February 10th of 1997, O.J. was now ordered to pay $25 million to the victims' families, Fred Goldman, Louis and Judith Brown, who would be the primary caretakers of O.J.'s children, Sydney and Justin. He was also ordered to hand over his assets, such as golf clubs, his 1968 Heisman Trophy, and a Warhol painting. Some people like to say that there were different outcomes in both the federal and the civil trial based on the jury's selection. In the federal court, there was a predominantly black jury, and in the civil court, there was a predominantly white jury. In civil court, there was also much more evidence against Orenthal. The families were also happy to receive some sort of compensation for the murders of their family, but all they wanted was justice.
4 years after the civil case State of California versus Simpson, an auction was held to go toward the $33.5 million awarded to the Goldman family. Bob Enyart, a conservative Christian radio host, attended and paid $16,000 for Simpson's Hall of Fame induction certificate, 2 jerseys, and 2 trophies. Immediately after purchasing the items, Enyart went outside the courthouse where the auction was being held and burned the certificate and jerseys and smashed the trophies with a sledgehammer. O.J. continued to live a life of illegal actions after the trial and is currently in prison. In February 2001, he was arrested for battery and burglary for yanking glasses off another motorist during a traffic dispute. He was acquitted on both charges that year in October. In December 2001, the FBI searched O.J.'s house on a tip he was in possession of ecstasy and money laundering. No illegal drugs were discovered and no arrests or charges were filed. However, equipment capable of stealing satellite television was uncovered, which led to Simpson being sued in federal court. In July 2002, O.J. was arrested for speeding through a manatee protection zone and failing to comply with proper boating regulations. His criminal defense attorney, Yale Gallanter, was able to get the misdemeanor dropped, and O.J. only had to pay a fine for the speeding. In March 2004, DirecTV won a $25,000 judgment from O.J. using illegal electronic devices to steal program television. Simpson also had to pay $33,678 in attorney's fees and costs. In 2006, copies of a book titled If I Did It by O.J. Simpson were leaked online before the cancellation of the book's publication due to public outrage. The book was a hypothetical confession of O.J.'s telling of what he would have done. In 2007, a federal judge ruled the publishing rights to Simpson's book to Fred Goldman, Ron Goldman's father. The next month, the rights to the book were awarded to the Goldman family to help satisfy the $38 million wrongful death civil suit judgment against Simpson. Goldman won the rights to the book and had it published under the title If I Did It, Confessions of the Killer. The book was ghostwritten by Pablo Vengeves. He states that Simpson actively collaborated on the book. In 2007, O.J. led a botched robbery in Las Vegas to steal his own sports memorabilia at a hotel and casino at gunpoint. Simpson was found guilty and charged with a number of felony counts, including kidnapping and armed robbery. He is sentenced to 33 years in prison and is now serving his time at Lovelock Correctional Facility in Nevada. He will be eligible for parole in 2017.